The peaceful mission, 770 words. Captain Alex Morgan stood on the bridge of the U's Harmony, humanity's first interstellar vessel, designed for peaceful first contact. The ship looked nothing like the warships of Earth's past conflicts. Its hull was painted white with blue stripes, and it carried no visible weapons. Solar panels gleamed along its sides, and observation domes dotted the exterior. The crew of 200 had trained for years in diplomacy, xenobiology, and cultural exchange. "Captain, we're approaching the Kepler 442 system," reported navigator Lisa Park. "The alien signals are getting stronger." The aliens had been broadcasting mathematical sequences and star charts for months. Earth scientists had decoded their messages as peaceful greetings. The response from Earth had been careful and welcoming. Both species seemed eager for contact. Dr. Robert Hayes, the mission's chief xenobiologist, studied the latest transmissions. Their technology seems advanced, but not aggressive. They're sharing scientific data about their home planet. The Harmony dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Before them lay a beautiful blue-green world, surrounded by elegant silver stations that sparkled like jewelry. The alien vessels were sleek and graceful, clearly built for exploration rather than war. "This is it," Captain Morgan said. "Humanity's first meeting with another intelligent species." The crew felt excitement and nervousness. They had protocols for every situation they could imagine. The ship's computers held thousands of languages, cultural studies, and gift exchanges from Earth's history. Everything had been planned to make the best first impression. Communications Officer Tom Wilson began transmitting the prepared greeting. "Unknown vessels, this is the Earthship Harmony. We come in peace and friendship. We hope to learn from each other and share knowledge." The response came quickly. The alien language was musical and complex, but their translation computers were working. "Welcome, beings of Earth. We are the Altari people. We have waited long for this moment. Please approach our station for meeting." As the Harmony moved closer, the crew marveled at the alien architecture. The stations were works of art, flowing and organic looking. Gardens could be seen through transparent sections. This was a peaceful, cultured civilization. "Captain," said Security Chief Maria Santos, "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from their vessels. Nothing threatening, but their technology is definitely more advanced than ours." Dr. Hayes was practically bouncing with excitement. "Look at those bio readings. Their ships have living components. They've achieved true biomechanical integration." The Altari station grew larger as they approached. It was massive, easily 10 times the size of the Harmony. Docking bays opened like flower petals, revealing a warm golden light inside. "Harmony ship, please enter Bay 7. We have prepared breathing mixture for your species. Our scientists are eager to meet you." "Captain." Morgan felt a surge of pride. Humanity had done it. They had reached the stars and found friends. The years of preparation, the careful planning, the peaceful approach, it had all been worth it. The Harmony glided into the docking bay. Through the viewports, they could see the Altari waiting for them. They were tall, graceful beings with elongated limbs and large, expressive eyes. Their skin had a slight blue tint, and they moved with fluid elegance. They wore simple, flowing robes and seemed genuinely excited. "All departments report ready for first contact," announced First Officer David Chun. "Medical teams standing by, diplomatic corps prepared, and cultural gifts secured." The airlock indicators showed green. The atmosphere was compatible. Both species were breathing the same air for the first time in history. History will remember this moment. Dr. Hayes whispered. Captain Morgan straightened his dress uniform and checked his translation device one final time. Behind him, the diplomatic team carried carefully chosen gifts: art, music, literature, and scientific data that represented the best of human culture. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. The Altari delegation stepped forward, their large eyes bright with curiosity and welcome. The lead Altari, wearing robes of deep blue, raised what appeared to be a greeting gesture. "People of Earth, we welcome you to our home. I am Elder Kira of the Altari Council. We have dreamed of this day for many cycles." Captain Morgan stepped forward, feeling the weight of representing all humanity. "Elder Kira, I am Captain Alex Morgan. On behalf of Earth and all human beings, we are honored to meet you." The two species faced each other in what should have been a perfect moment of peaceful first contact. Neither side knew that in just a few hours, everything would go terribly wrong. The Harmony's peaceful mission was about to become humanity's first interstellar crisis. Asterisk, the cultural exchange had been going perfectly for 3 days. Captain Morgan and his crew were amazed by Altari technology, while the aliens marveled at human creativity and determination. The species seemed perfectly matched for friendship and cooperation. Elder Kira had shown them through the stations. Incredible biogardens, where plants and technology grew together in harmony. Dr. Hayes had spent hours discussing xenobiology with Altari scientists, finding surprising similarities between their species' evolution. "Your people's approach to problem-solving is remarkable," Kira told Captain Morgan during a formal dinner. "You use conflict and competition to drive innovation. We find this fascinating but difficult to understand." The Altari were a peaceful species that had never known war. They had evolved from herd animals and made decisions through consensus. Their technology was advanced precisely because they had never wasted resources on weapons or conflict. "We've learned that cooperation works better than competition," Captain Morgan explained. "Though it took us a long time to figure that out, this was true. Earth had indeed moved beyond its warlike past. The Harmony was proof of that, a ship built for peace, not war. But the Altari didn't know about humanity's violent history, and the humans saw no reason to bring up painful memories. On the 4th day, everything changed. Communications. Officer Wilson was monitoring Earth transmissions when he noticed something. "Odd. Captain, I'm picking up a priority signal from Earth Command. It's encoded." The message was brief but alarming. Long-range sensors had detected an unknown fleet approaching the solar system. Earth's defenses were being activated as a precaution. The transmission included detailed scans of the approaching vessels. Captain Morgan studied the data with growing concern. The ships were massive, heavily armed, and moving in military formation. Their technology was similar to the Altari's, but more aggressive in design. "Sir," whispered Security Chief Santos, "these ships don't match anything the Altari have shown. U.S., and they're heading straight for Earth." The captain faced a difficult decision. The Altari had been nothing but kind and peaceful. But this new fleet was clearly military, and it was approaching Earth with apparent hostile intent. Protocol demanded that he warn Earth Command immediately. "Wilson, prepare a transmission to Earth. Full military encryption." Santos, quietly alert. The senior staff. What Captain Morgan didn't know was that the Altari had been monitoring human communications since the first day. Their advanced technology made it easy to intercept and decode human transmissions. They had been curious about Earth's technology and had considered this harmless scientific interest. But when they intercepted the captain's encoded military transmission, everything changed. The Altari translation computers struggled with the military terminology. Words like hostile, threat level, and defensive protocols had no direct equivalents in their peaceful language. The computers did their best, but the translations were catastrophically wrong. Elder Kira received the decoded message with growing horror. According to their computers, the humans were reporting a successful infiltration and target acquired. The message seemed to confirm that Earth was preparing for an immediate assault on the Altair homeworld. "The humans have been lying to us," Kira told the emergency council meeting. "This was never about peace. They are scouts for an invasion fleet." The council members were shocked and terrified. The Altari had never encountered deception on this scale. In their society, lying was almost impossible because of their communal decision-making process. "But they seemed so friendly," protested science leader Nira. "Their gifts, their curiosity about our culture." "It was all deception," Kira said sadly. "They have been studying our defenses and technology, and now their war fleet approaches." The Altari had never needed to think about military strategy, but they weren't helpless. Their advanced technology could be adapted for defense. More importantly, they had allies other peaceful species who had joined their confederation over the centuries. "We must warn the others," Kira decided. "Send messages to all Confederation worlds. Tell them that the species called humans are dangerous invaders who use deception and false friendship to prepare for conquest." Within hours, the message spread across the galaxy. Dozens of species that had never heard of Earth suddenly learned that humanity was a threat to all peaceful life. The Altari's allies began preparing their own defenses. Meanwhile, Captain Morgan was still trying to figure out what the approaching fleet was. His peaceful mission had suddenly become a potential military crisis, and he had no idea how to handle it. The Harmony's crew noticed that the Altari had become distant and nervous. Station personnel, who had been friendly, now avoided eye contact. Scientific exchanges were suddenly canceled. "Something's wrong," Dr. Hayes observed. "They're acting afraid." Of us, neither species realized that a simple translation error had just started the galaxy's first interstellar war. The change in the Altari's behavior was immediate and dramatic. Within hours of the intercepted transmission, a friendly, open station had become a fortress of suspicious activity. Captain Morgan and his crew found themselves suddenly isolated. "Captain, they've locked down all the docking bays except ours," reported Chief Santos. "And I'm detecting weapons systems that definitely weren't active before." Dr. Hayes looked confused and hurt. "The science teams won't even look at me now. Yesterday, they were excited to share everything. Today, they act like I'm going to attack them." The situation grew worse when Elder Kira requested an emergency meeting. The Altari leader's demeanor had completely changed. Gone was the warm, welcoming host. In his place stood a tense, frightened being who could barely look at the humans. "Captain Morgan," Kira began, his voice shaking, "we know about your fleet." "Fleet?" Captain Morgan was genuinely confused. "Elder Kira, I'm not sure what you mean. The Harmony is Earth's only interstellar vessel. Please do not continue this deception," Kira said sadly. "We have intercepted your military transmissions. We know about the invasion force approaching our system." The captain's blood ran cold. "There's been a terrible mistake. Those ships aren't ours. We detected them approaching Earth, not your system. We thought they might be yours." But the Altari translation computers had already done their damage. Every word the captain spoke was being filtered through software that had been corrupted. By military terminology, it couldn't properly understand. To Kira's ears, the captain seemed to be confirming the invasion while denying responsibility. "We trusted you," Kira said, his large eyes filled with what looked like tears. "We believed your words of peace. But you were studying our defenses, learning our weaknesses." "Elder Kira, please." Captain Morgan stood up, his hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "There's been a misunderstanding. Let me show you our ship's logs, our mission parameters. We came here in peace." But the Altari saw the captain's movement as threatening. Their security systems, now fully activated, responded to what they interpreted as an aggressive gesture. Harmless restraint fields activated around the human delegation. You will remain here while we decide what to do, Kira said, backing toward the door. Your ship will not be allowed to leave. As the Altari delegation hurried away, Captain Morgan realized that first contact had just become a hostage situation. But this was only the beginning of the crisis. Across the galaxy, the Altari's warning was spreading like wildfire. The peaceful confederation of species that had never known war was suddenly faced with what they believed was an imminent invasion by a deceptive, militaristic species on the world of Centauri Prime. The crystalline beings called the Shards received the message with crystalline horror. Their entire society was based on truth and transparency. The idea of a species that could lie and deceive was more terrifying than any weapon. These humans are worse than we feared, transmitted Elder Shard Zena to the Emergency Council. They have perfected deception as a tool of war. The bird-like ethers of the Windward Nebula reacted with swift panic. Their scout ships immediately began reporting back to their home fleets about human capabilities and perceived threats. If they can deceive the Altari so completely, chirped Admiral Sky, then none of us are safe. They could be infiltrating our worlds already. The most dangerous reaction came from the aquatic depths of the Mariana Cluster. These beings had evolved from predators, and while they had joined the peaceful confederation, they still retained their ancestral instincts. For survival, we must strike first, declared War Chief Tide in the first military council meeting his species had held in centuries. These humans threaten everything we have built. Within days, what had started as a simple translation error had become a galaxy-wide crisis. Peaceful species that had never considered warfare were suddenly building weapons and preparing for battle. Trade routes were shut down. Scientific exchanges were suspended. The entire Confederation was transforming into a military alliance. Most tragic irony was that the mysterious fleet the humans had detected was actually a group of automated mining ships from a distant system. They had been programmed to harvest asteroids and had been following their ancient programming for centuries. They were no threat to anyone, but by the time this was discovered, it was too late. The Altari Confederation had already made their decision. They would not wait for the humans to attack. They would defend themselves with everything they had. Captain Morgan and his crew, still trapped on the Altari station, had no idea that their peaceful mission had accidentally started the first interstellar war. They were about to become witnesses to humanity's greatest challenge yet. Asterisk, the Confederation's response was swift and overwhelming. Within a week, the largest military fleet in galactic history had assembled in the Kepler 442 system. Ships from dozens of species surrounded the Altari homeworld, their weapons powered and ready. Captain Morgan watched from the observation deck of his prison with growing despair. The peaceful station had been transformed to a military command center. Graceful Altari vessels now bristled with newly installed weapons. The beautiful gardens had been replaced with shield generators and communication arrays. "My God," whispered Dr. Hayes, "what have we done?" The Confederation fleet was an amazing sight, despite its hostile purpose. Crystalline ships from the Shard. Worlds reflected light in dazzling patterns. The ether vessels moved like living birds, their wings generating protective energy fields. Most impressive were the massive bioships of the depths, looking like giant sea creatures swimming through space. Elder Kira visited the human delegation one final time before the attack. He looked exhausted, aged by the stress of preparing for war. "Your fleet has not yet arrived," he said quietly. "We are giving you one chance to contact them. Tell them to leave our space, and we will allow you to depart safely." Captain Morgan felt desperate. "Elder Kira, I swear to you by everything I hold sacred, there is no human fleet coming. Those ships your scouts detected are not ours. We have only one interstellar vessel, and it's the Harmony." But the translation computers had been reinforced with military databases from every Confederation species. Human words like swear and sacred were interpreted as threat and conquest. The captain's passionate denial only confirmed Altari. Suspicions. We cannot trust your words, Kira said sadly. We have learned that humans are capable of perfect deception, but we will not be victims. Asterisk as Kira left, Captain Morgan realized that communication had become impossible. Every word they spoke was being twisted by translation, software that had been corrupted by fear and misunderstanding. The situation became even more desperate when the Confederation scouts reported new contacts on the edge of the system. Long range. Sensors showed a massive fleet approaching at high speed. The ships were unlike anything in the Confederation database, angular, aggressive, and clearly military. This is it, announced Admiral Sky over the fleet communications. The human invasion force has arrived. But Captain Morgan knew something. The Confederation didn't. The approaching ships weren't human at all. They were the mysterious fleet that had been detected near Earth, the same ships that had started this entire crisis. We have to warn them, Captain Morgan told his crew. Those aren't our ships. They're the unknown fleet that Earth detected. If the Confederation attacks them, it could start a real war. Chief Santos had been monitoring the communications. Captain, I don't think those ships are military either. Their formation is wrong, and their energy signatures don't match any. No weapon systems. Dr. Hayes was studying the sensor data. They're moving too slowly for an attack fleet. And look at their construction. Those aren't warships. They're industrial vessels. The irony was crushing. The fleet that had started this crisis was actually a group of ancient automated mining ships. They had been harvesting asteroids for centuries, following programming so old that their creators had been forgotten. They posed no threat to anyone, but the Confederation didn't know this. All they saw was a massive fleet of unknown vessels approaching their homeworld. The panic and fear of the past week had reached a breaking point. All ships, prepare for battle, commanded Elder Kira from the station. We will not let these invaders destroy our peaceful way of life. The Confederation fleet moved into attack formation. Hundreds of ships, representing dozens of species, prepared to fire on the approaching mining vessels. The peaceful beings who had never known war were about to start the galaxy's first interstellar conflict. Captain Morgan made a desperate decision. Wilson, open a channel to all ships. Full emergency broadcast. Captain, they won't listen to us, Wilson protested. The translation computers are corrupted. Then we'll have to try something else, Captain Morgan said grimly. Santos, prepare. The harmony for emergency departure. We're going to break out of this docking bay. Sir, that's an act of war, Chief Santos warned. They already think we're at war, Captain Morgan replied. Maybe if we can get between the two fleets, we can prevent this disaster. The Harmony's engines powered up for the first time in days. The peaceful exploration ship was about to become humanity's last hope for preventing a galactic war that had started with a simple translation error. The countdown to disaster had begun. Asterisk. The Harmony burst from the docking bay in a shower of sparks and debris. Captain Morgan had made the most difficult decision of his career, breaking free from their alien hosts to prevent a war that neither side understood. All power to engines, he commanded. Get us between those fleets before they start shooting. The Confederation ships immediately reacted to the Harmony's escape. Warning shots flashed past the human vessel as dozens of alien ships moved to intercept them. They're trying to stop us, reported Navigator Park, her voice tense with concentration. Keep going, Captain Morgan ordered. We have to reach those mining ships before. His words were cut off as the Confederation fleet opened fire on the Kunga. Approaching vessels. Energy beams and projectiles filled space as hundreds of ships attacked what they believed was a human invasion force. The mining ships, ancient and automated, responded the only way their programming allowed. Defensive systems that had been dormant for centuries suddenly activated. Construction lasers meant for cutting asteroids began firing back at the Confederation fleet. "It started," Dr. Hayes said in horror. "They're at war with mining robots." The battle was chaos. The Confederation ships were built for peace and hastily converted for war. The mining vessels were industrial equipment with improvised defenses. Neither side was really prepared for combat, but both were now committed to it. Captain Morgan saw only one chance to stop the disaster. "Wilson, can you hack into the mining ship's communication systems?" "I'm trying, Captain, but their technology is ancient. It's like trying to communicate with a Stone Age computer." Meanwhile, the Harmony was dodging fire from both fleets. The Confederation saw them as escaped prisoners, while the mining ship's defensive systems treated them as another threat. "Captain," Chief Santos called out, "I'm detecting something odd about those mining ships. They're not crewed. They're completely automated." This was the key Captain Morgan had been looking for. "Wilson, stop trying to communicate with them. Can you access their central programming?" "Maybe, but I'd need to get close to their command ship." The Harmony dove toward the largest mining vessel, weaving through the battle. Energy beams flashed around them as both fleets continued their senseless fight. Dr. Hayes was studying the sensor readings. "Captain, these ships have been operating for over 1,000 years. They're following ancient programming to harvest resources. They're not even from this galaxy originally." As the Harmony approached the command ship, Wilson finally managed to access its ancient computer systems. What he found there would change everything. "Captain, I'm in their database. These ships belong to a species called the Builders. They went extinct centuries ago, but their mining fleet kept working. They're just following their programming to collect resources and return to a homeworld that no longer exists." "Captain, Morgan made a decision that would save both fleets. Can you shut them down?" "I think so, but I need more time." "Do it. Santos, broadcast this information to both fleets. Tell them the truth about what's happening." The Harmony's transmission cut through the battle chaos. Captain Morgan's voice reached every ship in both fleets, speaking in clear, simple language that even the corrupted translation computers couldn't misinterpret. "This is Captain Morgan of the Earthship Harmony. The vessels you are fighting are not human. They are ancient mining robots, abandoned and forgotten. They pose no threat to anyone. We came here in peace, and this battle started because of a translation error." As if to prove his point, Wilson successfully accessed the mining fleet's shutdown codes. One by one, the ancient vessels powered down their weapons and engines. The 1,000-year-old mining operation finally ended. The battle stopped as suddenly as it had begun. Both fleets found themselves facing powered-down industrial ships that were clearly no threat to anyone. Elder Kira's voice came over the communication system, filled with shock and shame. "Captain Morgan, what have we done?" "We've learned something." "Important," Captain Morgan replied. "We've learned that communication is the most important technology any species can develop. And we've learned that fear and misunderstanding can turn friends into enemies." The aftermath of the crisis brought the two species closer together than they had ever been. The Altari helped Earth develop better translation technology, while humans shared their experience with conflict resolution. Dr. Hayes established the first joint human Altari research station. The mining ships were converted into a memorial to the importance of understanding between species. Most importantly, the Confederation established new protocols for first contact. Every species that joined would share the story of how a simple translation error had nearly started a galactic war. Captain Morgan returned to Earth as a hero, but he never forgot the lesson of the Harmony's mission. Sometimes the greatest victory is preventing a war They should never have started. First contact hadn't gone as planned, but it had taught both species something more valuable than any technology: the importance of truly listening to each other. Asterisk.